Finally, a pro wrestling discussion show that's civil and constructive, introspective and informative. Mr. Clean and Springsteen, the Bald and the Beautiful, Final Bell Media and the Juice Box present Drew and Juice.
All right, everybody, I'm Andrew Badala. That is Juice Springsteen, and we are back, and it feels good to be back. This is Drew and Juice. We have a ton to discuss. WrestleMania main events are set. We just got done with the Tony Khan media call some short hours ago. AEW Dynasty is this Sunday. We have a loaded show. It is good to be back. My main man, Juice, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, Drew. How about yourself? I mean, this is exciting to be back. I know you had some other commitments, some family things, I guess you like to refer to them as. But yeah, it's good to have you back. 2 weeks, away. It's nice to get back in the saddle again.
When you're not here, things are missing, and it was something I missed. I missed not doing the show. Happy to be back. I had a vacation that was pre-planned, and then I had a work thing that was not pre-planned, but that's what happens. So it's good to be here. I mean, what a past 2 weeks, truthfully, with everything that went down. We're going to get to it all. I hope you all are well. We're seeing everybody flock in here. Want to appreciate everyone for joining us. Mitch Moore, there he is.
There he is.
Where he is. Andrew, thanks for the advice for my son. He got an internship at a local NASCAR track. That's what it's all about. People helping
NASCAR. You like NASCAR, Drew?
No. It's not that I don't like NASCAR. I have never fully understood. The tailgates are unbelievable. We do a lot of the ticketing, marketing, and promotions. By the way, I want to clear up a rumor here real quick.
Oh, here we go.
It's gonna be a short rant. I am not a ticket scalper or broker. I don't know how that got started.
Well, your first name's Ticket.
Yeah, that one tickled me. If you're gonna put out information, make sure you got.
Who put that out? That you're scalping tickets.
Make sure
it's only been official as long as I've known you.
Make sure you guys get good information. That one tickled me, and I know you're watching. That one tickled me. So anytime, Catherine. NASCAR is a big draw, but I have never fully understood it. Like, I never understood why people want to watch a car go round and around and around and around. But you know what? I watch professional wrestling, so
it's in that I can compare the two like this. It's the history of it. If you've watched it when you were little and it's still happening today, you like going back and seeing the nostalgia and seeing how things have been innovated. I have been really pushing ever since they did the college football game there. I would love to see a WrestleMania at Bristol Motor Speedway in the infield because they can hold upwards of 150,000 people.
Well, I'll tell you, WWE and TKO will go wherever the money, as long as somebody wants to pay for site fees and all this other stuff.
I'm sure they'd pay it.
I'm surprised they haven't done the big house yet, and maybe they will.
Yeah, you got, there's that. They got Beaver Stadium. There's plenty of large venues, upwards of 100,000 that they could pack in.
Yes, sir. All right, what do we got on the docket today, Mr. Juice Box?
Oh man, well, we've got a lot going on, but really want to hone in on.
Wait. Is your polo buttoned all the way to the top?
Yeah.
Is that how you always have worn your polos?
When I work for WCW, it is.
All right, go ahead, Juice.
You got to be buttoned up.
All right,
you can't leave any info out there. Come on.
That's good. That's a good piece of advice. That's a damn good piece of advice.
That's right. It's like a visualization of literally keeping things buttoned up. You can't let things get out in this business. But we're going to talk, you were on the little Tony Khan media call. We're going to talk Dynasty, pretty much a preview type deal. It's this weekend. Looking forward to it. I'll be in attendance. I'll be going out there, I think Saturday afternoon. Well, earlier, but I'll get there in the afternoon. You know how long it'll be, probably a 5-6 hour drive, but it'll be damn sure worth it, I would wager, considering what we've got on the card. And we're also going to talk a little WrestleMania. Not only have we had a few more matches added since we've last discussed things, we finally have confirmed end of night matches, whether you want to call them main events or not, because people are like
closing the show. Yeah.
Main event Jey Uso is, and then they put the WWE main event logo, or, I reference the WCW main event logo. Like, he's not really the main event, and he's not going to be in the last match, but yeah, finally that's cleared up. So we get to talk about that. And as we talk about AEW, I'm going to pepper in a couple of news and notes, not to take too much time, but I want to just hear your thoughts because we haven't talked in 2 weeks.
That's right. 2 weeks, dude. Yeah, the WrestleMania main events are interesting, right? I have some things that I could talk about because now they're set in stone, and not Stone Cold, who I do think will make an appearance at WrestleMania. But I will say that, yeah, the CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns match came together fairly quickly in terms of what they were doing, because it was all, the plan was, from everything that was reported and what has been talked about, was Rock and Roman. As soon as Rock kind of said can't work or doesn't want to work or whatever Rock said, that I will not be able to confirm or deny. Rock, Triple H, and some other people will be the ones who can talk about that because they're the only people that would realistically know. They pivoted to this triple threat. And I do believe that what you saw at Madison Square Garden, the cage match between Seth Rollins and CM Punk, was slated for WrestleMania. Whether or not this ever gets out or they talk about it, who knows? But I believe that's what happened.
Well, they're doing a WrestleMania 9 documentary, so I'm sure they'll do a WrestleMania 41 documentary and talk about how this match never happened. And I do want to ask, if Rock's not wrestling here, is that it? Is he going to wrestle then? Because you talked about these movies he's going to be doing, and this was like the year maybe to pull off one, if not both of the last matches, which be Roman and then any other potential final match he wanted to pull off, but against Cody, but doesn't seem like it's happening this year.
It's interesting because Rock wanted Cody solely, said no, so there's a match kind of laid into that one. Do we get a match potentially at SummerSlam? I doubt it, because I believe the Fast movie that The Rock is a part of is the reason why he's not wrestling at WrestleMania, let alone SummerSlam. And then you got the Scorsese film that was picked up by Disney. So I don't see this being something where The Rock wrestles, which is interesting. I know Rock had missed a movie because they had to delay the shooting because of a WrestleMania-related injury. I believe it was back in WrestleMania 29 against John Cena. So I think it was a Fast movie, Fast and Furious movie. I might be mistaken on that one.
Probably.
But yeah, there's like 17,000 of them. But I know that they probably, stated to Dwayne that, hey, we can't risk anything. Please don't have a match. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe he's taking the precautions. But I believe what you saw at Madison Square Garden, which nobody is talking about, and I know people will talk about it tonight and tomorrow because people watch it and then they spin it. It's part of the game. But I believe that what you saw at the Garden was scheduled for Mania between Punk and Rollins, and Rock and Roman was going to be the other match. And I think Cena and Cody was always the plan, which is your other WrestleMania Night 2 main event. The Seth Rollins triple threat with Roman and Punk is interesting to me because right now I need a little more.
Something.
I don't have a problem with triple threats. I never have.
No.
But what after this is somebody the de facto number one contender, because these are 3 main event superstars. So for me, just to have these 3 in a triple threat for bragging rights is okay. I beat this guy, whatever, but give me something with it. It doesn't, give me something. So, we'll have to wait and see. But the match is a big match. There's no doubt about it.
It'll be a huge match. Yeah, huge match.
Blake says it was Hercules. So thank you, Blake. Yeah. And listen, this is the sentiment around a lot of the wrestling fans here. I'm so glad my guy CM Punk gets his main event. Yeah, it's a feel-good moment, but realistically, we had a lot on that WrestleMania card that it doesn't seem like we're getting. I mean, you're seeing a lot of it with this women's triple threat as well. That's all but official.
Is it a triple threat?
Official. It needs to be made official. Just make it official. I think there's a lot that was in flux for this year's Mania, and now you're kind of seeing where they're headed. And, granted, last week, well, I should say this Monday, it feels like last week, with John and Cody was a fantastic segment. We'll get to it. But this triple threat that was kind of put together while I was away, we all saw it coming after the Garden show. But I held on for hope for maybe The Rock and Roman because I think it's just a match we want to see. But here we are. The match is going to be good. The night one main event is a triple threat: Seth Rollins, CM Punk, and Roman Reigns. But I just wish there was a little bit more or something attached to it.
I have a feeling there will be something. I don't know whether that'll be announced ahead of time, announced by the end of the show, like the first show, like night one. Remember last year's night one main event had huge ramifications for night two. And whether it's the favor, whether someone says, hey, why are we having this match? Should we, let's make it for something. I think something could be left in there, because I think a lot of people, whether they want to admit it or not, will be bothered that the last match on night one, it's big, but it really is for nothing.
Well, and that's the thing, you mentioned last year's WrestleMania tag match had ramifications going into the main event night two.
Yeah.
CM Punk also said to Paul Heyman, I appreciate this, but this is not the favor I'm owed, which is very interesting. What is the favor? Is the favor a shot at the WWE Championship? Is a shot at the World Heavyweight Championship? What is it? A lot of people jump to the conclusion that the favor was a WrestleMania main event. That wouldn't make much sense, in my opinion. So, it's interesting they threw out that wrinkle. So here we are. We'll have to wait and see what happens. I think we're all just like everybody. The internet had complained for weeks and whatever. That's a lackluster WrestleMania build. I haven't felt that. I just felt like we haven't known exactly where we're going, because I think a lot of things are up in the air. Those things have all been cleared up now. And the John Cena Cody main event, which I want to talk about right now.
Yeah,
I believe that match last week or this past Monday in London, that what they did in that segment, if you are not excited or wanting to see this match or invested, I don't know if you have a pulse, because that was the best work those two men have done. I give you the first 2 weeks were kind of meh.
They were.
John really gave Cody a lot. He put Cody over a lot on the mic and allowed Cody to shine. And then I would say this past Monday, both got their shots in, and I'm ready for Mania, at least for me.
The first 2 weeks, Cena said a lot. Cody didn't say a lot, but Cody still kind of got the upper hand. This time around, Cena laid into him real hard, and I was kind of concerned as it kept going longer and longer. I'm like, man, the longer this goes, Cody's going to have less time and ammunition to even have a rebuttal worthy. Like he could still punch back, but it'll be like half. But yet he gave him enough, and Cody really fired back. We got physicality. But now I'm geared up. I'm revved up for this. I still ultimately think, and we're not even there. We're not to predictions yet for WrestleMania, but I still am thinking Cena's taking this. It's really hard for me to believe that they would make this heel turn.
You couldn't even say it. God didn't want you to
say
it.
I know.
He's like, nah, I got to save this guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's crazy that they do this heel turn. They have all this build. They've gone to Europe for 3 straight weeks, had these hot crowds, all this. And I think it would be a little bit of a letdown for Cena not to follow through, because then the goal would be to get that Cody chase back to eventually get the title back, which is a great payoff, but you got to get this title off him first.
And I think it's interesting, reading the internet and Twitter and then listening to you describe how you felt as if this was kind of lackluster. I think I know a lot of people are like, when this was originally put out, I want to say this was put out in November, about how the WrestleMania build is going to be lackluster on purpose. I think this was done on purpose. I think the whole delivery of Cena's promos and having Cody look strong was done on purpose, because as you saw this past Monday, when John was unleashed and kind of unchained, John kind of ripped the head off Cody, and everybody was like, oh boy, they better calm down a little bit, because I don't know who to root for here. I mean, that happened. They were cheering Cena at the tail end of Cena's promo there. And the WWE doesn't want that, because this is their golden boy. You don't want a situation where you roll into Vegas and the guy that they turned heel, which the adults might cheer because we hated face Cena, right? Quote unquote. Cena was never our guy. And now, John's going to roll into Vegas, and if he has another promo like he had on Monday, he's going to be cheered out. I mean, Cody's going to be booed out of the building. That's not what you want.
That's what I anticipated and speculated could happen immediately after the Chamber and the whole turn. I'm like, this is great and all, but they really have to lean into Cena being a true heel, not a cool heel, because if it ends up like WrestleMania 18 with Rock and Hogan practically doing a double turn, you can't have that when Cody legit is your number one babyface, and the goal was not to have it be a switch, because this is Cena's last run. Cena needs to be all in on this, and see where it plays out. So I'm hopeful that they could keep pushing that heel button.
Yeah, and a lot of people are asking for the Doctor of Thugonomics. Are you guys nuts?
They cheer that. They want that.
John Cena rolls out with the Doctor of Thugonomics. Cody is dead in the water in terms of a crowd reaction, because everybody and their mother's going to want that. Now, after the Cody match, if there's not a rematch happening, and John does happen to win the championship, sure, bring out the Doctor. Have at it. The funny thing about John right now is something that he mentioned 2 weeks ago, which we weren't here, or it was last week. He talked about bringing back the spinner belt. And what's funny is the adults hated the spinner belt and the kids loved it. So it didn't make much sense. The adults are the people who hated that spinner belt, and they're the ones that are cheering John for the most part right now. And the kids are like, man, I can't believe my hero turned his back on me. The teenagers now, et cetera, et cetera. So for me, it's interesting that they're going to try and bring, it's a nice little caveat, but I think it's going to miss the mark, because I think the adults are the people who hated that spinner belt, the traditionalists.
At the time, but now the kids 20 years later are the adults. And I'd be thrilled with it. It was a fun, even though I was a kid at the time, looking back, I think it was like very apropos for the culture at the time, where there were spinning rims and that was the cool thing. And
what I'm saying is the adults are going to hate that belt again, and the kids are going to love it. So it's going to, in my opinion, it does the exact opposite.
I don't know if I agree with that, because I think the adult, how much they wanted the winged eagle back. I think they would want a vintage Cena with this spinner.
Well, maybe.
Because again, those kids that were 12 years old
are now 32.
32. So I'm like, hey, let's do this. It's because it's been so long. And I'm all in on having that. But again, you want to be careful that you don't make. I thought it was genius. Not just that Cena was like, I'm not changing the music. You're not getting that. It was I'm keeping the exact same gear. I am John. Like, that is heelish. And that's what I like. Because normally everybody wanted him to change his gear, be Hogan, and wear all black. And that's not Cena. This is him being a heel, because he was a heel when he was a face. That's I would have
liked to see maybe the all black, but here's the main reason why they didn't. It's funny,
you didn't even know. We saw it in the Firefly Funhouse, though. We saw that in the NWO.
Right. So, but here's the I mean, you didn't even know I was going to talk about this, and literally it was my next talking point when you brought up John Cena and the shirts and everything else like that. John's merch is the number one selling merch. He's top 3. The London, the Brussels, and where were they before? I don't remember.
Glasgow.
All 3 of those exclusive shirts, hats, and all the hullabaloo and hobbob and bullshit. He's top 3. So all the people, and I mean, I was looking at the O2 Arena last Monday, and I was like, holy shit, there's half this crowd is John Cena shirts. There's a reason why John didn't come out in the all black. John's still printing money. And that was something I thought to myself was probably not going to happen, but shame on me because I was wrong. John Cena's merch, even though he's telling the fans to stick it, brother, they're still buying it.
Yeah. And again, it's kind of a fun nuance that we didn't look at. We thought maybe he'll change. We assumed something has to change because he changed his character, but in reality, he's kept his character the same. He's got a different attitude about him. He's telling everybody else that, no, it's your problem. You guys are the ones that caused all this. I've been me the whole time. The gear's being the same, and that is so much more hateable. It's like, because that was a point of contention with The Rock, Fruity Pebbles, and look at how stupid this gear is. That's us now, and it's great.
But that's a very good point, and you make one or two maybe a shirt. I'm only kidding. You're very astute. When it comes to wrestling history and even the little nuances, in my opinion, that the programming provides that a lot of people don't pick up. John Cena coming out in John Cena-esque gear is very heelish. And why I say that is because everybody wanted something different. He's just like I said, you guys can go stick it up your ass. I'm not doing that. I'm me. You turn your back on me, not the other way around. That was done by design so that John was not cheered in buildings when he came out as a heel. Like you said, and like I said, John Cena does the Hollywood Hulk Hogan and the I'll give you another, the Roman Reigns type of heel turn. No, he's getting cheered.
they play any other music, people are gonna pop. You hear that scene of music now, and it's that same like, but it's immediate booze, and it's literally every time he's being put out as a heel now, it's Money in the Bank 2011 all over again. Yeah, it's that type of energy.
They wanted the "I'm a bad man."
Bad man. Which is,
I get it,
okay,
but the crowd would go nuts for it.
They would love that. Yeah, giving the fans what they want is what baby faces do. That's why this is working.
Yeah.
So I'm here for it. I'm loving it. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Is Cena not booked for these last couple Raws in the U.S.?
Well, I'll be in the building for this Monday. Is Monday Night Raw live here in Minneapolis, Minnesota?
No, everybody just goes to Minnesota these days. AEW is just there. Now WWE's gonna go there.
Listen,
here we go.
When people ask for them, they show up, and I'm appreciative of that. Yeah,
Andrew
I don't think
payroll Dalla.
I don't think John will be on the Minnesota show. It would make a little bit more sense if John started showing up on SmackDown, especially since that's the championship they're fighting for, which is exclusive to SmackDown. So I would expect John to be on the SmackDown right before WrestleMania, and maybe next week's SmackDown. I don't know though. This week's in Chicago. They would have already announced him. So,
you think so? But they had Rock come out randomly last year.
That was so funny. That so many people bought that hook, line, and sinker about The Rock. Oh, I saw that on The Rock's Instagram. Brother, that was from 4 months ago. But these same people, right, will come at different media outlets, or they'll come at different, quote-unquote, IWC personality or media personalities, and they'll be like, you moron. And it's like, oh, we're the moron? A little research would have shown you that timestamp is from 4 months ago. You don't think that that Netflix is going to promote The Rock if he's showing up on television, on their programming?
Yeah.
Come on, get the fuck out of here.
Whoa. Well,
it's just
rating
dumb
on this episode this week.
We're a couple minutes in. Probably the kids should be in bed. We're 22 minutes in. Your kids should be asleep. But I'm sorry if the kids are watching. I dropped an F-bomb. Uncle Drew's sorry. I apologize.
We got to have a bleep button. That'd be funny.
I'm only going to give one
F-bomb.
There's
Phil.
I'm going to give one. I think.
I don't know, depending when we talk about this media call.
Yeah, maybe. So let me just do this real quick, and we can either go yay or nay. Tomorrow is Chicago. This is SmackDown. Next week is Seattle. I'm going to go with nay and nay on both of those.
It would be genius for him to go to Chicago because that's a lot of heel heat.
Punk territory. What
they
could do is hit Punk's music and John rolls out. That would be something that I'd like.
How hard is that? Again, that's super easy.
Yeah. Sacramento, California is Monday Night Raw next week. This coming week is Minnesota. I don't believe he's at either of them. I'm going to say that he's at the Friday Night SmackDown in the T-Mobile Arena for Las Vegas. That would be
he'll be in the town. So I hope he's at least at one of those. I don't see why he couldn't even do like a via satellite thing to really heal it up. Like, why couldn't he show up on the screen and be like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm on a set because I have other commitments because you fans suck and I don't want to be in front of you.
You fans can stick it, brother. The only people advertised for the Minneapolis show is Gunther, Jay, Seth, and Liv and Rhea. That's it.
Okay. So 5 people. That's an interesting show.
Well, I'm sure that I'm sure that they'll do something, but yes.
We can only hope. Well, that'll be fun, Drew. I'm looking forward to hearing how that goes.
I will be there. I will be in the building. They gave me great seats. I appreciate it. So I'll be there.
Wow, look at you.
I'm sure somebody will say...
You don't need to scalp them. You just get them.
I'm sure that one just sent me. That, and I think it was something else that I was sent about. I don't remember what it was. What was it? Oh, that I have a beef with my former co-host who I used to do shows with on Tuesdays. We talk to each other weekly. He always checks in, makes sure I'm okay, and vice versa. So, nope.
Yeah. Although I would like to, I want to give you a little note when we get to one of these topics.
Sure, go ahead.
Well, when do you want to do the media call? We approaching that yet, or?
Whatever you want to do. I mean, we're talking about WrestleMania and WWE. I think.
Okay. I mean, how much more? There's a few more matches that are announced now. Logan and AJ, and
which I think is a good match for not only Logan but for AJ. I think this will show Logan's, wherewithal in the ring. I think
thoughts on that new move, the Paul Verizer.
Yeah, right. I like it.
It's a hell of a move for a non-wrestler. He's fucking great. Like, I mean, when are people going to realize that?
Well, what's crazy about the whole Logan Paul hate is Logan has a ring where he lives. Like, Logan trains in that sucker like daily. So Logan's not taking this lightly, but Logan also understands his value, and he understands that he doesn't need to do the grind that a lot of these men and women did because he was a star before he got to the wrestling business. And Logan
I think he respects the industry though, and people don't give him that credit. I've seen backstage things of him talking to some other wrestlers, and he was a fan, and now he's really invested, really doing it. And you can hate the guy, but behind the scenes and doing these shows and wrestling at the level he's doing it, I have to give him all the kudos.
Yeah, and again, Logan is a student of the game. He really appreciates the wrestling industry, you could tell. But at the end of the day, does Logan need the WWE? I don't think so. Does WWE need Logan? I don't think so.
I think they need him more than he needs them, though. It's another star that brings more. Because without Logan Paul, do you think they bring in Speed? And do you think they bring KSI and Kai Cenat? Do you think they bring any of those guys in if Logan Paul doesn't have that first relationship with them? I don't think so.
Well, I think if somebody told me today that they were ending the relationship, I think WWE got a ton out of Logan, and Logan got a ton out of WWE. But I don't think I think Logan gets a lot of heat, a lot of slack because he's not there weekly or monthly or whatever. But
part-time Paul.
Yeah, listen. Logan does a lot, and he helps the WWE, and WWE helps him. Is Logan cut out for like an AEW schedule? No, he's not. He's not cut out for Japan either.
Logan Paul's going to do WWE.
Right. And that's it. I think the Logan Styles match is a good one. I think it has the potential to steal a show. Those are two very, very good athletes, and they'll put on a spectacle at, WrestleMania. So I'm looking forward to it. The other thing that I thought was very well done on Monday Night Raw, which we haven't seen a lot, is Gunther got nasty. I knew the beatdown was coming. You could tell because Gunther let Jimmy smack him, and there was no rebuttal to that. So I thought to myself, the match is where he's going to get his payback. And man, did he ever. The handcuff was a nice little chef's kiss. It was a nice touch to have Jay watching his brother get completely obliterated in the blood, which is something we don't see often in WWE. The blood has become a little bit more prevalent, but the extent to what they did and the handcuffing of the brother to watch the twin get the shit kicked out of him, we haven't seen in a while. So I thought it was a very, very nice nod and a very, very intricate part to this storyline, which it desperately needed because it felt like it was falling through the wayside, for the past couple of weeks. So for me, I enjoyed what they did with Gunther and Jay.
Well, it was a zip tie, I do believe. I don't think
was it.
That's what they said. I couldn't really tell. I'm just going by commentary. But yeah, I felt that the match was lacking, and I even said
the build at least.
Jay wins the Rumble, and it's the greatest thing ever. People are stunned, and then the next PLE, John Cena turns heel, and it's like, what? Who won the Rumble? I don't care. John Cena's a heel now. Like right. It really overshadowed it, whether it intended to or not. But now, build week by week, they kind of played up the botch that Jay had, which I loved, because then it's like, man, Gunther's in your head. You can't beat him. Even when he talked to Jimmy, he slipped up and said, I'm 3-0 against Gunther, when he's in reality 0-3 against Gunther. And it's little nuances like that add levity to the scenario. And then you get the slap backstage. Then you get the one-on-one and the beatdown, the blood. We're really in a blood feud now, and I think it's going to be a great match. I still don't know.
You are correct. It was a zip tie.
Ho-ho!
You were correct.
That's right.
So, and the other thing I want to quickly point out, a lot, because you said it, I said it, but I'm a numbers guy when it comes to the right type of numbers, which we'll get into, I'm sure.
Ratings?
Yeah, we'll talk about it. The numbers from this past week's Monday Night Raw in terms of the YouTube viewership, if you go back, the Cody Rhodes segment is at 3.8 million views. Now, granted, 3 days ago, but that's still very, very high. The next right behind it is the Gunther Jey Uso segment where he forces the beatdown. He watches and that was at 1.1 million. So, I mean, you go back and look at the John Cena stuff from 2 weeks ago, it didn't even hit 500,000 views. But this, and the full segment with Cena and Cody did about like 2.5. But I mean, that's a very good number in terms of viewers for the Gunther Jey Uso segment. So I think the fans are back and invested, and it needed it, Juice. It desperately
did. Of course it does. It's one of the world title matches for the men. And again, if you're somehow going to have a triple threat with no title on the line be the last match of night one, the match that actually has a world title attached to it should have more importance. And that's what they're doing. So I'm happy that they're finally addressing it. And I go, look, 2.5 hours a week on Raw, 3 hours of SmackDown. It seems like a lot, and it is, but you still have to be able to divvy up enough time evenly, accurately to get everything to where it needs to be at WrestleMania, which I'm glad that they had extra time this year.
Yeah.
To do that, because I think they're making the most of it.
And they slow played it, which was obviously done by design because they have so many weeks until Mania, and the Rumble was late, et cetera, et cetera. But the biggest equity a wrestling company can give you is television time, and that's what a lot of these men and women are getting. This is a good question because this has not been made official. Thank you to the producer who put it up. How do you book the IC title match? I booked that Dirty Dom wins, then turn on Finn the next day on Raw, and Liv wins the women's IC title. So I will say that the Fatal 4-Way, I believe, is going to happen for the IC Championship at WrestleMania. Those participants would be Braun Breaker, Penta, Dominic Mysterio, and Finn Balor. I said it 2 weeks ago. Give me Dom walking out of Vegas with that championship, and give me a month, 2 months, whatever, of Dom and Finn feuding over the Intercontinental Championship. I am here for it.
100%. Have Dom pin Finn.
Yeah.
So Braun doesn't even need to get pinned, and Braun can get to his next level. Penta can explore other avenues, and you can get this internal conflict where Dom has a championship, finally again, and he gets a match with Finn down the line. I like the wrinkle of maybe having Liv as IC champion now that they have a women's IC title, because then you can have both of those insufferable characters with the same title. It's great. It'd be a fun little ride too. Because look, we all know how much do they invest into WrestleMania? All of it. What happens after WrestleMania? A lot of fatigue. So you want to have things that are, this is worth it.
You need fresh. You need fresh.
Yeah, you got to have interesting, fresh, entertaining coming out of Mania. And I think that would do it.
And, to this comment by Phil. Hi, Phil. Good to see you. Good to hear from you again. I can't really see you, but having Penta win the IC title personally and then dominate. Here's the thing, right? I don't hate the fact that people want Penta to be a singles champion in WWE, but I think that Rey Fenix and Penta are 100% going to join here soon. So I like Penta in a singles capacity. I have. And I asked for it in AEW while he was still there, and it never came to fruition. I would love to see it happen in WWE, but them bringing Rey Fenix in tomorrow, and he's on SmackDown and Penta's on Raw, I think it's interesting to see when those two are going to lock up, because they need to pull the trigger on that sooner rather than later, because one of these boys gets hurt and we don't get the Lucha Bros. And I think a lot of people would love to see the Lucha Bros in WWE. So
I want to see them go one-on-one, and then I want to see them do a tag team, because I think you can make a story out of that where they go one-on-one. It's acknowledged that they're brothers, but then there's a great match, a mutual sign of respect, and then they become a team, and there you go. Like, I think you can get a lot of juice to be squeezed there, Drew.
There you go. I thought Raw was way better than SmackDown this week.
SmackDown, man, any 3-hour show all of a sudden is a drag, because everybody loves SmackDown at 2 hours. The moment you flip to 3, it's like, okay, oh man. It's tough.
I don't hate the 3 hours. Is it my cup of tea? No, but I understand why they're doing it. Just why I understand why Collision is not off Saturday nights, because that's where the network wants it. And the network wants 3 hours of SmackDown for ads, ratings, everything else like that, because they lost Raw to Netflix. I get it. It's very simple to understand. But for me, I'm with you. The 3 hours can be daunting. But if you write good television, doesn't matter if it's 1, 2, or 3 hours, keeping the fans invested is a challenge. And this past Friday was just not it for me, besides 1 or 2 segments. And we'll have to wait and see. I thought Raw was very well done. So we'll see.
Yeah, let's see. WrestleMania, the only other stuff, I think everything else is set up outside of that potential. Is it a triple threat? Is it not a triple threat? They somehow made it even more convoluted with Bianca as referee. I don't know what the hell's going on. I assume it's just going to be a triple threat, and I want Io to come out as champion. I want her to go in and leave because she's the odd woman out here. Both Rhea and Bianca have given her, physicality in response to her butting in when she's the champion. So I want her to kind of silence the critics, silence her opponents, walk in, walk out as the champion. But we'll see.
Mark Lashane says JD from NY would never take 2 weeks off. You want to know what? You're probably right. God bless him. He is a machine, but he's also never live on Thursdays, and we are. So JD's he loves his streaming, and he's always ready and willing and able. So God bless him. Yeah, listen, the women's triple threat is interesting. I think this is all a vehicle to have Rhea walk out at WrestleMania with the championship again.
Wow.
And it's very, very interesting.
Yeah, I would agree. Small words.
Yeah.
Just interesting from you, huh?
Too
convoluted.
No, the women's triple threat, how we've gotten here or going to get here, is very convoluted. I just wish they would announce the match already. I don't hate some of the things they're doing. I like the contract signing. It was a nod to WrestleMania 20. Go ahead, and maybe it's been done before, but the one that I remember is WrestleMania 20. Go ahead and just
who was in that match, Drew?
Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and Chris Benoit. So
I'm not familiar with that last guy.
Right, sure, yeah, right. So it worked. Like, it was fine. Rhea's name was on the contract. You make a triple threat. Then they gave her the title shot. Bianca was the ref. I was like, okay, like, what are we going to have?
And we get a schmoz double DQ.
I was like, Jesus, Mary and Josephine.
It's just every other match is like, oh, we're doing it. What do you think is the problem? Because let's say it ends up being the triple threat. Why couldn't they have just announced it and then had back and forth? Or did they not have enough maybe story and this is how they get that?
I don't think this was ever the working plan. I've said this before. I think there was a tag team title match, and I think maybe Becky was supposed to be involved here in this women's title match.
Becky's not around at all. So.
I can't put my finger on it, but this triple threat reeks of just like, this wasn't where we're going, but now this is where we're going. And this is what we're doing. And I think Rhea's going to walk out of WrestleMania with the championship, but we'll have to wait and see.
That's interesting, Drew.
Have to wait and see.
Very curious.
Back in my day, we only had a finish, not a 4 finishes, not a triple threat. So,
the only other thing I have, we got the official announcement of the natural disasters in the Hall of Fame, which is exciting. So now we're pretty locked up. We also even got a match after I brought it up. We got a match going into the Hall of Fame, and it's Brett and Steve, WrestleMania 13.
Best WrestleMania match of all time.
Sorry, Sean and Brett, the most overrated WrestleMania match in the history of WrestleMania.
Okay.
It's number 16. It's so good.
We're done with you for the rest of the show because you don't know anything if you think that match is overrated.
Okay, here's the thing. I know who the hell cares about other people's opinion. Check out a lot of different takes on that. A lot of people are in.
There's a lot of morons.
A lot of people are in my corner, whether you think they're morons or not. I would think it was a better match if it was 30 minutes or not just 1-0. I like some of the stuff, but it dragged on too long, Drew. I think you're looking at it through nostalgic glasses. No, and that's coming from a guy who lives in WCW still as if it's still alive.
I was going to say, you're Mr. Nostalgia. You have a freaking WCW shirt on right now.
I work there.
Right. No, I don't believe the Iron Man match is overrated. I thought it was a great work of art, and everybody thought that the match would go 3-2, 1-2, whatever. That's how it was 0-0. It went to overtime. Pat Patterson would smack the holy shit out of you for calling that match a bad match because it was a work of art. And
what match concept does he ever come up with?
The Royal Rumble. I mean,
the Royal Rumble.
Listen, Pat was, Pat, God rest his soul, was the person who I think booked that entire match, and it was a masterpiece. I mean, Sean and Brett had to work it, And they trust me, they worked it. But Pat, the booking of it, I thought the 0-0 was genius. But whatever. Brett and Steve is the best WrestleMania match, in my opinion, of all time. It's my favorite. It goes Brett and Steve. It goes Shawn and Brett. And then we get the classic Shawn and Taker matches, both of them. And I even throw the Hell in the Cell between Triple H and The Undertaker, with Shawn as the referee, up in my favorite WrestleMania matches. Brett and Owen as well. But again, am I a fan of inducting matches? No, I'm not. I'm not.
Yeah, but now you get to see, and it is funny. It actually was a 5-star match that's getting inducted, so it's really funny. It'd have been look, if they did what I said, which the first match I felt that should be inducted would be Hogan Andre. That got like negative stars, and that would have been hilarious to see.
But
the discourse there.
But that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
They threw in a very, very, like, the most perfect wrestling match you could ever have. They put
with
that
both guys still alive. Like,
right.
Everything is
Hogan and Andre's going in. There's no doubt about it.
I'm sure. Yeah,
because it was something that revolutionized and changed the entire landscape of the business. Not to mention, I'm sure Rock and Hogan are going in as well.
Oh yeah, Rock, Hogan,
but this is my thing, right? This is what I don't like. Don't get me wrong. We've had some clunkers and some stinkers on WrestleMania. There's no doubt about it. But this is where you're going to have the best of the best matches, the best competitors, the best stage, the best everything. So is the NFL going to induct Super Bowl games into their Hall of Fame? Because those should be the best. That should be the best game of the year. And WrestleMania should have the best matches of the year. Granted, there have been some 5-star classics if you go by that metric system.
Or you can say 5-star and not refer to Dave. You can say it's 5-star to you.
Right. You had some great matches that didn't take place on a WrestleMania. So for me, I get it. And sometimes you get a really bad Super Bowl. Really, really bad. Okay. I mean, for
this past
one
year.
Team, yeah, right. It was bad for the Chiefs. The game was bad, but Philly fans loved it. So it's all subjective. And for me, I don't like the fact that we're inducting matches. I don't. I know UFC did it with their fights. I'm not a fan of it. I'm sorry. And I know I might get crushed for it, but it's just not for me.
I like it purely from almost a need, because how many guys and girls and tag teams did they put in per year the first 10 to 15 years of the Hall of Fame? It was like 6, 7, 8 people deep. Yeah. You're really wearing it thin to the point of like fans being critical, even if the acts are over. And this is not a slight, but like the Bushwhackers say, they were incredibly over. Couldn't tell you one match of importance that they had. So that's what drives me nuts. People being critical of that is going to lend itself to now you're going to get Triple H, a headliner. You're going to get a woman's legend, Michelle McCool, a guy legend, Lex Luger, and you're going to get a tag team. That might be it. So now you have a match. If the people are there to accept it, great. But it's like another little, and I'd prefer that over the wing too. The
celebrity
the legacy wing, where it's like a bunch of older guys should have gotten in legit, and then they're like, oh, by the way, they're in, and that's how they're in.
I mean, if they never stepped foot in a WWE ring on television, like I don't even care if it was the 80s or the 90s. I mean, they inducted some people who were NWA, AWA, who never stepped foot in a WWE ring. So for me, it was kind of weird. But I will say this. I'm with you, but Bret Hart now is a 3-time Hall of Famer. He's the only person in WWE history to be a 3-time WWE Hall of Famer.
Pretty crazy.
It is. But again, I just think that this is something where, again, they're inducting the best WrestleMania match. There's no doubt about it. But I don't know. I don't like it. I just don't.
Hey, Special Delivery Jones was in the legacy wing. Luna Vachon, Stan Stasiak, definitely people that were in WWE. So it's not exclusive.
Luna Vachon was inducted as wasn't she inducted as a
legacy in 2019? The people that were in legit were Brutus, Beefcake, Honky Tonk Man, and Tori Wilson, and then DX, Harlem Heat, the Hart Foundation. And then
that was at the Barclays Center.
10 additional legacy wings. Yeah, it was in Barclays. So
interesting.
Yeah. But they were doing that, and I'm like, man, some of these could have like Lou Thez, Frank Gotch, George Hackenschmidt. I mean, of course they weren't WWE, but those are like the guys that like OG world title people, and they all just kind of got thrown in at the end. So I just like if they're going to have minimal people going in, but a match is a nice little wrinkle.
Here's what I'll say about it.
It's
First
slippery,
of all,
though.
Yeah, somebody said Miss Elizabeth should be in the Hall of Fame. Absolutely. So should Demolition. I mean, I can go on and on. So should Sid. Did Vader get in? Vader got in, right?
Vader finally got in, yeah.
All right. Oh, God. I love how you had to do that.
Big Vader guy. Come on.
Yeah, I guess a lot of people can't do this, right? What I will say about the match, what would be really cool, and I'm sure they'll probably do this not on the actual night of the Hall of Fame, but I'd love for Brett and Steve to sit down and kind of describe what went into it and how they thought about it and what happened.
They do that on the YouTube?
I think they do. But if they're going to have this match be inducted, at the night of the Hall of Fame, I'd like them to do so. Because for me, the Hall of Fame was always my favorite night of the year because we got stories. And there was really not a cap on the time. And sometimes it went long, but it was fun. It was kind of like, it didn't feel like a regular WWE event. Everyone was loose. There was a bar. You could hang out. The wrestlers would all mingle if you were on the floor with them and all that other stuff. It was a very cool setting, and it was nice. It was fun. And then they combined it with SmackDown, and I went to a couple of those, and I thought the energy sucked, truthfully.
Yeah.
So I'm happy it's a standalone, but give Brett and Steve some time to talk about it and what went into it simultaneously while being on stage together to accept their award, and I'm here for it.
I think they will probably do a joint acceptance, which will be really, really cool to see. Yeah. And I wouldn't doubt that they probably have like a little, they could do one of those like full-fledged videos of them watching the match and commentating back and forth over it, but then maybe air like a 5-minute or a shortened highlight of that as the preamble to inducting it, to be like, look at what these guys are talking about it now. And then you have both come in and officially do it. But
yeah, that works.
I think it'll be cool. Brett being the first 3-time Hall of Famer. Flair's probably on his way. If Evolution gets in and then a Flair match could get in, he could be 4.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Phil says Paul Heyman going first last year was very interesting. I was there, and a ton of my sections around me left last year after him. I'll let the cat out of the bag. Your boy left right after Paul Heyman's speech. I went back to the hotel because I was exhausted, and then proceeded to stay up pretty late at the bar. But yes, it was, I mean, we'd already been there. I was exhausted from being there for 2.5 hours of SmackDown. And then you have Heyman, which was smart. A lot of people stuck around for The Rock. There were some storyline implications that went on with WrestleMania there with The Rock, with the championship, blah, 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 that he was presented. But for me, after Heyman, I was ready to go. And it was tough to follow Heyman. I mean, good Lord.
Well, yeah, Heyman in Philly, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. So,
yeah.
Well, it's tough to follow Hall of Fame stuff. So let's talk a little AEW, huh?
There you go.
All right. So I wanted to touch on this. We want to talk about the
hold on. I think you got to talk about this. Go ahead. The producer, put that one up. There it is.
Okay. 316 MMA. You should stick to MMA. No, I don't. Luger should be in the Hall of Fame. And we didn't get to talk about it. Sting should be the one inducting. We'll talk about that on the media call. Tony said he was going to discuss that with Sting, and I'm sure. Look, it should happen. And Luger should have been in a long time ago, but I'm glad that it's happening now, considering how many, including Vader, among others, that have since passed and haven't gotten in until after the fact. Like Psycho Sid is not in, and he just passed. What are we going to do? Like,
Sid will go in.
Well, of course he'll go in, but
he should have went in this year. But I'm with you.
Luger going in now. It's better that he's going in now. He's getting physically in better shape from DDP. So that's going to be a very emotional and inspirational thing. Whether you don't think he was a great worker or not, that's a whole nother subjective ball game. But I think over the years, I think he's actually kind of underrated in a lot of people's eyes. And the more you watch, the more you kind of get it. And one of the best physiques in wrestling history. Underrated worker, underrated seller. So big fan of Lex Luger. So I think he should be in, but who am I? I didn't get to vote on the committee. So.
I'm with you. I think Luger is absolutely Hall of Fame worthy. He had a very good WWE run, and he had a fantastic NWA WCW run. And if Sting is a WWE Hall of Famer, so is Lex Luger.
Absolutely. And I would just say, if you haven't to 316 MMA. If you have not watched Much Luger, or if you're looking for why should he be in, purely just fire up Peacock and watch the 100th episode of Nitro from August 4th, 1997, Palace of Auburn Hills.
You got to go back, though.
Hogan.
You got to go back and watch a little bit of like the fans just going absolutely nuts for Luger for like a couple months. And they decided, okay, we got to pull the trigger.
Sure. But, it culminates at that 100th Nitro when Luger wins the world title over Hogan clean, which never happened. And on Chris Van Vliet, he mentioned that it was right before the curtain opened. And they were like, yeah, so you're going over. And he's like, what? And they're like, yeah, you're hot. It's 100th Nitro. Give the fans something. And he's like, how's it going to happen? Torture rack. Like, Hogan does not do that. He doesn't put people over clean, and Luger was one. So the respect there should tell you, I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. So good discussion. I'm looking forward to his speech.
All right, let's move on to the AEW stuff.
Let's go to the media call. So we'll talk about some of the questions, but I did want to reference your former co-host, Mr. JD. He did refer to those during, in, on, and after the call as, quote, the henchmen of Tony Khan. So I wanted to start the show by saying henchman Baydala. But I'm not here to start trouble, but I just found it was a funny quip. Are you looking for it?
Yeah, I don't think he didn't. He's smart enough not to call me a henchman.
No, but Tony had all his henchmen pushing the narrative today. I see during and after. The media
I see it. All right, what's the question?
Of course, no. Again, it's all good fun. I just this is a fun show.
Yeah.
But so interesting media call. A lot of interesting tidbits. You were a part of it. We had Meltzer in there, John Alba, Sean Ross Sapp. We'll start off with this, and I am not stirring the pot. I'm friendly with both Drew.
He's
and
the
JD.
Juice box.
Yeah, come on. Straws for everybody. But I want to just let's kick it off with what you particularly talked about, which was the hardcore violent elements. A lot of discourse. You had a tweet that blew up, with Taz chiming in. A lot of people chiming in on, look, ECW was hardcore, but it was hardcore in more than just violence. Like, it was a buffet of great cruiserweights, interesting heavyweight stuff, great technical wrestling, and then you got the violent. It's a buffet, and AEW is doing that on arguably a larger scale. So you asked a great question about how it's perceived from everybody, and I thought, it was a good response from Tony. So I'll, give you the floor.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen more violence being prevalent in the past 3 weeks. The spike bat, the glass that we saw last night from Swerve Strickland, and some other things. We saw it at Revolution. Pay-per-view, they've always kind of done something. But again, I think if anybody is trying to replicate and embody what ECW was, it is AEW. And I don't care if you clip it, send it to your mother, your brother, your sister's aunts, nieces, uncle. I don't care if it goes viral. AEW is 100% trying to embody, or is embodying, exactly what ECW was. Now, I'm not sitting here.
I'm not sitting here saying Tony's an ECW fan. He loves paying homage, so makes sense.
Sure. And I'm going to sit back and tell you that AEW is not, doing the W did. They don't have the stars or whatever that ECW did, because, there's a lot of first ballot Hall of Famers that were in ECW. But I will say that AEW has a load of talent and a load of a combined effort to give you lucha, strong style, and hardcore. And their ECW storylines were very, very well done and very well thought out, in my opinion. There was obviously a couple things that sucked. That goes with anything. Not every idea is great. But ECW is not just blood and guts and hardcore. And my post, said that. And I think the same thing with AEW. I think Tony is doing a very good job of combining them. Tony was an ECW kid, just like I was. So when I see that stuff, I'm immediately I'm transported back to an ECW television taping or ECW pay-per-view or whatever. And was ECW for everybody? No. But I asked because there are, Tony is in a completely different echelon in terms of the media, the sponsorships, the this and that, the partners. ECW did not have that. So my question was, are we going to continue to see this? Because as they grow, will they be able to continue doing and hitting on this demographic of this hardcore, ultra violent. Well, it's not ultra violent, but violent type of wrestling. And
well, it is. The pizza cutter and the spikes are pretty ultra violent.
The needle,
anywhere else.
The needle.
Yeah, what are we talking about? Okay, it's ultra violent.
And they had an exploding barbed wire death match, which really wasn't exploding, but
which also failed.
Yeah, I was there. I had never seen one of those in person. And I thought to myself, this is the time, this is the place I'm going to go. It was right after COVID. But anyways, again, I just think it might limit them in some things in terms of advertisers and everything else like that. But it is a market, right? It is a market and a demographic that WWE is not dipping their toes into. No. I will say that WWE has gotten more edgy since they've moved to Netflix, and I believe since they've seen their competition use curse words and use blood.
Cody did another one, by the way.
And what I'm saying is like, I think AEW might have a little bit to do with that because they see, okay, that got them talking. All I have to do is drop an F-bomb or call somebody a bitch or whatever.
Or a piece of shit.
Right. And it throws an exclamation point on something. Like, we saw Copeland and Christian be the first that I can remember say, go F yourself MJF. On television. Okay. And MJF as well.
Calling Tony Khan a fucking
and F and Mark. Right. And then you saw Cody drop it on, pay-per-view or PLE, the Elimination Chamber. So you can't tell me there's not something there. But I will say that AEW being and adopting and continuously using this hardcore style since its inception is interesting to me, and I'm happy they're going to continue it. Is it my cup of tea? Consistently, no. If it's done right, I'm here for it. So we'll have to wait and see. But I think Tony's sticking to his guns, and he says my audience and the audience that that is the AEW loyal audience really digs it, and that's our identity. And I'm here for it. I respect Tony for that.
Absolutely, and he knows probably it is a niche, but you're allowed to have multiple niches on your show. It's a buffet. It's supposed to be something for everybody, but not everything for everybody. And they're tapping in, like you said, to an audience that might watch WWE but not get satisfied with their hardcore wrestling tastes like they would in an AEW. So it's like, if you're not going to get it in WWE, I will watch WWE, but I'm not going to, as soon as AEW has barbed wire, I'm in. Like, I'm going to turn to their, wrestling.
Well, it's something that WWE is not doing. So that's why I asked, are you going to tap into that market share or continue to tap into that market share? And he said pretty much without saying yes, they are. I mean, and good on them for it. Will it come with limitations? With sponsorships and ads and everything else like that? Probably. But if you do it on pay-per-view, I don't think there's any limitations in terms of your sponsors. But they're doing it on TV.
They're just doing spikes on Spike TV.
Yeah.
Remember that channel?
I do remember Spike TV, Monday Night Raw.
Oh yeah. It was up before or after it was on TNN, the Nashville network.
The Nashville network, I remember.
Which ECW was on, as a matter of fact. How about that?
Trust me, I remember. I was a big ECW fan, and I have no problem.
I know you're a one-night stand, and I know.
I thought ECW was ahead of its time. I thought ECW it was everything you could want in a wrestling company because they gave you Baskin Robbins has 31 flavors, and they tried to give you as many flavors as they possibly could. So
I think I've heard you say that earlier this week.
I have, yes.
Look, my dad loved ECW. I watched ECW as a youth. Like,
my dad hated that I watched ECW. He was like, what is this shit? But WWE was more acceptable, and it was in more households and everything else like that. And it was family friendly to a certain extent until they went to the Attitude Era. And nobody is going to convince me that Vince McMahon wasn't stealing things from ECW because he was funding it when the Attitude Era came through. So stop.
Yeah. Stop. Stop yourself. Any other news and notes you wanted to touch on specifically with the media call? We also had a little bit of a discussion on if Collision could move. And I know you brought that up. You kind of want it to go, any other spot than Saturday, but go ahead.
Yeah. Tony talked about Collision. He said, he's very happy with what they have, and he was very open to any sort of move if the network wants it. And I said that, Juice. I said, Tony's not going to be the one that calls the move. It's going to 100% be WBD. And you know what he said? I'm open to moving Collision. I would want that to, I don't, if WBD would want it to happen. A couple of things that I took from this was, Sean Rossap asked how he navigates the online feedback and the discourse. And I think Tony's answer was good. Tony acknowledged that he definitely pays attention to the fan feedback, which is essential in today's dynamic media environment. However, he also did emphasize that he uses various methods to gauge the effectiveness of storylines and talent, such as analyzing the viewership data on a segment-by-segment basis and monitoring the engagement across different social media platforms. And for me, Juice, that's not exactly his words, but this is what he said. I wrote a whole thing about it, and it's basically embodying what he said. For me, this approach, it illustrates that while the fan opinions are valuable in any landscape, Juice, Tony is also committed to utilizing the data to make informed decisions about the direction of All Elite Wrestling programming. And this, multifaceted strategy suggests a balance between listening to fans and relying on hard metrics, which I believe is crucial for the success of All Elite Wrestling and any company going forward.
For sure. And it's smart. And I'm sure there's going to be people, going, wow, Tony listened to the IWC. What a mark. MJF was right. Why would he listen to the fans? And it's
that's his audience. It's a small percentage.
But it's smart to just listen. It's not that he's catering everything to what you or I or anybody else on these platforms say. It's purely, let me see what they're talking about. What is working? What's not working? If it's not working, could we still make it work? If it's working, can we sustain it? Like, it's metrics. It's segment by segment. It's a very analytical, like Major League Baseball way of doing things. And it's smart.
Yeah, Tony is very analytical. I mean, you all can come for his neck all you want, but Tony is very, very analytical. And as much as you probably won't like me saying this, Tony is brilliant in some aspects of what he does. So go for it. When you say he's an idiot, you're wrong. Is he everyone's cup of tea? No. Is he an idiot? No. But I will say,
is he your box of juice though?
You brought up a interesting point that I think is smart. You said, he checks in and he looks at things and he pays attention, which is smart. If you continuously feed or give, the crowd that you're catering to online, a couple nuggets here or there, a couple crumbs, they're going to stick around. They're going to come back and they'll be like, see, he listens. He's not listening to everything, because if you listen to the vocal minority on the internet, you'd be out of business real quick. And Tony's not, they're not doing that over and over and over again, but Tony's not stupid. He's going to take feed you little crumbs and have you think, hey, he's really listening to us, which I'm not sitting here saying he doesn't, but he's not going to implement everything. He just can't.
No,
he can't.
And that's all it takes is a crumb of fans to go, oh, I suggested that. That's interesting. I wonder if he kind of, and that's literally all it takes. Cause then it's,
exactly.
You're hooked in, and you're going to the boat.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a good story.
Yep, exactly. And then I got to give credit where credit's due. John Alba led the call off with a question on the streaming numbers on Max. I believe there was a report. I would think it was from BJ Bethel, but Tony admitted that he doesn't have access to the complete data, as it's pretty much kept under wraps, Juice. And he stated that Warner Brothers Discovery has consistently communicated that the streaming numbers are very, very good and they're high and they're really encouraging. But for me, I'm going to say this again. I don't pay attention to the, numbers for Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite, or Collision. And a lot of people want to hang their hats on that or have wins and losses. And for me, if I like something, I like something. If I'm buying ad space or if I'm trying to buy the media rights for such things, you'd bet your ass I'm going to be paying attention to it. But I am not a media rights buyer.
And if you were, you wouldn't be doing this show with me. You would not be on the line talking about it. You'd be doing way more important things.
And if it was part of my online description or my job description, then fine. I would pay attention to it.
Sure.
You know what I pay attention to? Ticket sales, numbers, marketing. I pay attention to the merchandise sales, all that other stuff, marketing dollars, where they're spent, et cetera, et cetera. So for me, really hammering these numbers is a moot point for me, because at the end of the day, Tony doesn't have them. So how am I to believe that somebody else has them and has them to a point where they're tying a number to it? I'm not sitting here saying that the person who reported this wasn't given the information. But Tony, in my opinion, very politely said, we've been told that the numbers are good, but I don't have an exact figure for you. So I don't know if I could sit here and comment and say, yeah, the numbers that were reported are accurate. But here's what I'm going to say to all of you, and I want you to listen, get close. Hear what I'm going to say. Why in God's name would Tony refute the report? Because it's positive news and it puts them in a positive light. And he's NFL and media trained. And you don't even have to be to understand that he's not going to refute this, because there's no numbers that suggest that what's been reported is wrong. So why would he refute it? Because a lot of people say, oh, because he's got to be honest. He don't have the numbers. I don't know how this other person would get the numbers, but if the owner of the company doesn't have it, I don't know how you do. And I will tell you this right now. Tony is never going to take a positive news, a piece of news, and flush it down the toilet unless he absolutely has to. And he's not going to. Nobody would.
Very well said, Drew. Some say I couldn't have said it better myself, as a matter of fact.
There you go. What do you think about the whole ratings thing?
I think it's antiquated. I think it's even more antiquated now that it's streaming. Like, I also don't get, like, it's so funny because the internet was like infancy when ratings really mattered with WCW and WWF. And then, that was 2001 when WCW closed. So there really was no
99. That was when the internet was like,
So there was no, after WCW's gone, in respect to TNA, no one's checking ratings other than to see how well it did, maybe, or pay-per-view buys. I'd almost look at that as more of a metric, if anything, because that's people flat out paying for an extra piece of content. Right. And that's what I would look at as like, wow, growth, or they suck. Not week to week where you might not know. And if someone is willing to put their words and, stamp on it saying, this is what I was given, why would everybody else dive on that and go, oh, no, he's lying?
Let me ask you.
In theory, then no one can say anything because no one's going to believe it because it's not what they want in their narrative.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. I listen to people say like, oh, these people want to live in like this fantasy world. And it's like, no, it's just, we don't want to live in a fantasy world, but you're going to sit here and pretend something is, the sky's falling for this company when we have no idea if that's factual. You're giving estimates. We don't have the financial numbers from that company because they're not publicly traded. You could look at WBD. You could look at WBB or WBD's numbers because they are publicly traded. They have 110 million subscribers on Max. So for me, that's showing something, and it's a positive. Now, is there cash flow, their EBITDA, all this other stuff? Is that something that I need to look at? Sure, but WBD does not own AEW, so I don't know what Tony's cost, expenses, any of that stuff is. I have no idea what his roster costs. I have none of that, and you're guessing. So for me, I'm not going to play the guessing game because I might as well just bang my head against the wall because I don't know. So you're going to waste your time with these projections when you're not employed or you're not buying any asset from that company? I mean, geez.
Why does it matter to you?
You're working for free.
Other people,
You're working for free. And that's my thing is like, who cares? And I want to ask you a question because you brought up something. What do you think is AEW's most valuable asset? If we were to look at the company and we were like, all right, I'm going to buy this company because I see something here. What do you think their most valuable asset is? Now, this is my opinion. And it's not the fucking ring, and it's not the wrestlers. I guess you need the wrestlers, but it's not the ring, and it's not even the television time, in my opinion. You need that, but it's not, in my opinion, it's not the most important.
So you're asking me what I would think their most important asset would be as a whole, just an
when
AEW
when they're at the negotiation table with anybody, what do you think their most valuable asset is? TV time is one of them.
Well, I'm just to piggyback off what I said. I don't know, just pay-per-view numbers or
correct. It's pay-per-views. They crush pay-per-views. They crush them in ticket sales wise. They crush them in buy rates, but they need television time for that. So they kind of go hand in hand. But AEW does very well with pay-per-views. And it's funny how everyone wants to sit back and say Tony's an idiot and a knucklehead and all this other stuff. But Tony has kept the pay-per-views off of Max, and he still got a giant raise on the Dynamite and Collision media rights. And we are all the way through Q1 of 2025 in this new media rights deal, and Tony has kept all of that pay-per-view money in-house. Who's the moron? Tell me. Who's the moron? Okay. All right, then. I mean, if you guys and girls are such business experts, why is nobody talking about that? Tony got $185 million a year for Dynamite and Collision. And currently, there's no pay-per-views attached to this deal. We know it's coming. But Tony has really kept that honeypot of those pay-per-views to AEW and its distributors, which is a great business move. So 1 quarter, they have been able to keep all of that pay-per-view revenue in-house and not having to split it with Max. It's an interesting and bold strategy.
And one last point I want to make before we probably go into the dynasty of it all. I also just think it's people remembering like WCW's final year, 2 years, whenever it was. Maybe even at the time, people were like, it's whatever. Like, it's okay, but it's not what it used to be. And then it all of a sudden was sold, right? Mm-hmm. Now, though, I think people look back at it because they know that it was sold. And this is not me just defending WCW. This is not what this is for. But people look back and they go, what? I know. I thought we're WCW, sure. People look back at that and they're like, wow, like WCW was really tanking. It was doing terrible. And no wonder it got sold. But like, I feel at the time, I'm not sure if it was as obvious. And I think people want to apply, well, WCW was a competitor. AEW is a competitor. This is me being generic internet mark fanboy. I don't like what's going on in AEW week to week. Therefore, I think it sucks. Therefore, they're not doing well. I think they're going to go out of business because they're not profiting. Like, they are telling themselves that because it's not as, whatever they anticipated to be, or it's not at a level that they want it to be, or they just don't like AEW, that they're bringing up like, well, I don't know. It seems like they're in the tubes. Why would they get those numbers are false?
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't support me and my narrative. Therefore, it's incorrect.
Bingo. And that's, the thing with me is that I really do, and this is off topic to this, but it's what you're talking about with the narrative. So there is a point, and it is kind of on topic. Social media and X more, specifically, I love the platform, but I have realized that there are a lot of people who ruin the platform because you pop on X, you make a post, and it's across the board. It's talent, it's owners of companies, it's everything. People are weird. Like, they have made the app uncomfortable, and people post and then they run away. And that was never what this app was designed for. And people think that this is cool. You guys and girls at times look crazy and creepy, and you make people uncomfortable. You make people's skin crawl instead of just being normal and having a civil conversation. It's just weird. You're making the app insufferable, and you shouldn't. It's a beautiful way to communicate with people all over the world if done right.
I've been on X, formerly Twitter, for over half of my life. And it is like crazy to see where it was, what it got to be, and where it is now. Because it's gotten bigger, and I love Spaces, and I love a lot about it. Regardless of it being name changed, it's still Twitter to me, and it's still got a lot of positivity to it. Yet it's like the users are more of the problem. I find myself hating and being more bothered by people that use it rather than the platform itself, even with its flaws.
Agreed. And for me, it's like people are like, how do you navigate all the shit that's said to you? And how do you navigate all the hate? It's not even that. Boys and girls, you forget. I used to pop into Xbox and PlayStation chats, and a lot of you wouldn't be able to survive 3 minutes on there. You were still sucking on a baby bottle of your mama's tit while I was playing Xbox and PlayStation. That type of stuff.
We were in the Call of Duty lobbies fighting for our lives, Drew.
Those people were merciless. They would
said anything.
Horrible, horrible things. So if you think that your little Tom, Dick, and Harry jokes or your little stupidity comments are going to affect me, they don't, because I'm at this point, I'm immune to it.
We know Drew is bald. We know it's okay. Come on.
It's just funny. And listen, when you put yourself out there, I've said this a million times. I've seen some people, lose their minds on social media. And I guess the kids are calling it a crash out, which I hate the term. But
I like the term a little bit.
If you're gonna,
it was in the song that they that was promoted for Bad Blood. That's like it's GTA, Future, and Metro Boomin. That's like the main like line.
Well, but for me,
it's crashing out.
But for me, like if you put yourself out there on social media daily and consistently, you have to understand that's what comes with the territory. So don't sit back and complain about it. Just move along. And
it's vulnerability to start by putting yourself out there, but you got to also understand other people are doing the same thing, and they could say the same crazy shit to you. And what happens when it's against you instead of you doing it to them? Doesn't feel so great, does it?
And the biggest thing for me is all these people who talk the most hot shit are the people who are behind avatars. They're not using their real picture. And they're like, oh, I do it for my protection. No, you do it because you're afraid of getting your ass kicked. I get it. I totally get it. That's fine.
Mean, and that's coming for, that's all. You know, I'm in agreement with you, yet I'm using, you know, I may or may not be Springsteen in real life, but I put my real fucking face out here. I still me. Right. Like, I just prefer to not have nutcases. Track me down.
This guy is never going to try and fight you over an opinion or coming at my neck. I just don't care. I don't. I'm not going to try and have physicality with you. I go the other way. Show me to the bar. Show me to the beach. Show me to my wife and kids.
Bring me to the bar.
Yeah, I'm not looking to fight you over some fucking wrestling opinion.
It's wrestling.
I don't give a shit.
Talk to me and let's bore each other to death talking about WCW pay-per-views. I don't care about fighting you. What is wrong with you?
Give me some good food, a great bottle of wine, and let's have some fun. That's it.
That's right. You know? Speaking of fun, let's close this bad boy out with some Dynasty preview, huh? It's going to be interesting. Philadelphia, the first ever pay-per-view in the state of PA, which is pretty cool. I wanted them to go to Pittsburgh. AEW, yeah. I wanted them to go to Pittsburgh for a pay-per-view. Maybe eventually they will, but we'll see. But,
Tony Khan has made it official. Chris Jericho and Bandito will fight championship
versus his mask. Yeah, which I will touch on. I could care less about everything Jericho had been doing, but this talk about that triple threat at Mania. These are stakes. This makes me want to see this match more because I believe Bandito's going to win. It gives you hope because if Bandito loses, boy, Chris Jericho is somehow going to be more hated than he already is online. You know, it's going to be brutal.
Yeah, Bandito's not losing. I'm going to go with Bandito on that one. And I'm happy that they made this match official because that's what it needed. Yeah, that's what needed to happen.
Let's talk about some other stuff. Owen Hart Cup. They finally released some brackets. We've had some injuries, unfortunately, as well. But you know, it is what it is. We got some matches set on the women's side. We've got Julia Hart taking on the juggernaut, Mercedes Moné. I think this will be a wonderful match. Come on. Mercedes Moné is going to take this. Although I would be interested. I know the goal, and I think you brought it up, to have Mercedes take on Tony, whether that's, it wouldn't be title for title, or it would just be for Tony's title.
Maybe. I don't know. I do think that if Mercedes wins the Owen, I think she'll probably beat Toni Storm and then vacate the TBS championship. But
people hated that when Stephanie McCord did it with the North American this past week.
There was a hesitation in my voice there, and I said, but there was a qualifier here on this, and I'm going to say that I believe that she's going to hold that championship past the Jade Cargill date so she could break the record. So maybe Mercedes starts to do double duty, but I could see Mercedes winning the Owen. But yeah, I'm going to go with Mercedes in this one.
Well, that's my point there was, if she's not going to win it, let's say Mercedes isn't going to win the Owen, I am here for someone getting the upset over Mercedes where the title's not on the line. You know, you can have that happen and not really hurt, but
sorry, this one got me. This is actually accurate. So
wow. All right.
That is accurate. That's accurate. And it was a joke, but thank you, Blake. I needed that.
It was a joke.
I mean, I'm gonna say, well, he was talking about the Iron Man match, and I said,
wow. I wonder what happened. Well, you didn't threaten to kill me. You just called me nuts with a Larry David gif, which I appreciated. Big
I knew you would. Well, you're a Seinfeld guy, so I figured you're a Kirk
I'm
guy.
both. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I think the Mercedes stuff is what it is, but at this point it's like, is she ever going to lose? I don't think so, brother. we'll have to wait.
Not until she passes that elusive. I would love for them to just be like, you know what, this isn't working, and she loses the day before she was going to pass the record. Oh man, another Owen Hart Cup tournament on the men's side. Will Ospreay versus Kevin Knight. This is out of nowhere.
Yeah, I like this match.
But I like this match. Yes.
Yeah, me too. Kevin Knight was very impressive for me.
Absolutely.
I did not catch him on Collision from Milwaukee. I caught his match last night, and I thought Kevin Knight was very impressive. It's a very good signing. And a lot of people are up in arms about this, saying he has no business being in this thing. Yes, he does.
He's done so much work all around the world.
And you want to know what? Like, what happens? Do I think he's going to defeat Will on Sunday? No, but you want to send a shock through the AEW, fan base? That could happen.
Well, especially you don't think Ospreay is going to win the tournament anyway, right?
No, I think this is built for Hangman Page, and I think Hangman
exactly.
I think the wild card is going to be Josh Alexander, and I think Hangman Page beats him.
Well, you've brought up him coming into AEW for a few weeks now, so hopefully this comes to fruition. But one of these times you're going to be right. But
I know
first it was Speedball Mike Bailey, and you thought it was going to be Josh Alexander. Now here we are again. But this actually works in my favor of what I discussed with Mercedes, where Ospreay might not win this tournament. He's not going to lose much if he loses to, in this first match to Kevin Knight. It's like, okay, put the young guy over.
Well, and that sets a tone. I mean, then it's like, we got to pay attention to this Kevin Knight guy. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not. Do I think Will ends up with the victory? Yes. But anybody who has a pulse watching this match on Sunday, I guarantee you it's a certified banger. So.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm going, but I'm gonna say we get Hanger and Will in the finals at Double or Nothing, and I think Hangman Page wins this.
Yeah, I am all in on a Swerve Hangman world title match at All In Texas.
Yep.
It's good storytelling. It's their best story I think they've ever told, at least on the men's side. And
it was great last night.
Your first, the biggest, US show that you're gonna do. I mean,
yeah, and it was great last night, Juice. I mean, that added wrinkle, you deserved it. You're right, I did. I was like, okay.
Yeah, they're gonna kind of they are. Man, I know you hate this, but they're very Austin Rock. It's like mutual respect, yet they hate each other. I like it. See you guys later. It's been Drew and Juice.
I know. I mean, listen.
It's a parallel. It's just a parallel of character, not the fucking God.
I get it. There's so many people that compared Goldberg to Austin, and for me, it was a
Baltimore black trunks,
and he had a goatee, and then turned it into a beard. I thought it was a terrible comparison because Goldberg came out, blew smoke, snorted, spit, kicked, spear, jackhammer, 1, 2, 3 were in the fucking locker room. So for me, they were completely different, But that's people directly comparing. I'm purely saying by way of they don't really like each other, yet I think they do respect each other at the end of the day. Because they threw the title into the river, through all that stuff happened, and then Hangman and Swerve, they burned the house. Like, it's personal, but now we're at a point where, all right. I think I think there's two ways to look at this. It's very Austin Rockish. Great. That's fine. You can compare the two. I think it's very Sandman Raven, Dreamer Raven, that type of stuff. I think Dreamer Raven is probably the better option there. So it's
I don't know. Is it because Raven beat him every time other than WrestlePalooza 97? Is it lopsided on Hangman Swerve?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That.
Well, Mr. ECW doesn't know his stats.
I can't tell you how many times Raven beat Tommy Dreamer.
Well, it was all of them until that one match. Like, that was the whole shtick. Raven beat him.
And Tommy never won. Yeah, Tommy never won the world championship until the very end. So I mean,
and then he lost it immediately after.
Right. So I mean, and that was the whole thing. Tommy could never win the big one, which a lot of people are. We're gonna go off here for a second, but I compare Tommy Dreamer. If you're gonna look at two side by side, it's Darby and Tommy. I think Darby is Tony's version of Tommy Dreamer, and I don't know if Darby will ever win that world championship. I mean, one day it'll happen. I just don't know if it's going to happen, within the next couple of years or whatever. A lot of people thought it would happen this year. I don't see it.
Too busy climbing Mount Everest.
Right. If he wasn't doing that, maybe. But I get it. I get the whole comparison with Hanger and Rock and Austin and Swerve. But it was a nice wrinkle this past yesterday, because for me, I think Hangman Page might help Swerve in the title match.
Exactly. You never know. And I have been saying, I think if Darby does eventually win the world title at one point, I think it'd be badass for him to win the match. And then all of a sudden he looks up and Sting was there the whole time. How
That'd
awesome would that be?
I can get behind that. That's cool. That's a cool moment. That's something that should be done. That's very good, Juice. I like that.
That's like maybe the second or third idea you've been like, you know what?
If it's
That's
good,
what happens when we're gone for 2 weeks, Drew.
Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's a shit. That was good. That was good.
What else could be good? Hurt Syndicate without MJF versus the Learning Tree, at least for now. Big Bill and Brian Keith. I like how they set this up a couple of weeks ago where the Learning Tree, Jericho's fed up with these guys. And then, hey, we're going to prove our point. They want to go after the Hurt Syndicate. And now we get this match. I don't know. I don't see the Hurt Syndicate losing these titles anytime soon. But I don't know. What do you think? As you seemingly have your attention somewhere else.
No, not my attention somewhere else. I'm laughing because I know you saw my post. So I think you know where I'm going, right? Or maybe you didn't. I think MJF,
sorry, I'm not perpetually following Drew. And what did he say?
Well, I mean, if you didn't, you didn't. That's okay. You don't.
Am I one of the people that are nuts that you're talking about?
No. I put out that I think MJF, quote unquote, arranged these travel issues that.
I think I did.
That Shelton had. I think MJF is going to, quote unquote, save the day on Sunday, fill in for Shelton because Shelton's going to have something else happen. And Bobby and Shelton, or Bobby and MJF, there's so many people in this thing, are going to be your de facto tag team champions. And Bobby's going to be like, hey, man, thanks for stepping up. Shelton's going to come back, want his championship back. And maybe MJF hands it back, maybe not. But I
don't want to give it back.
Yeah, I think this is a way that MJF weasels his way into the good graces of the Hurt Syndicate. That's where I think this is headed.
I agree. He is a weasel. No Bobby Heenan, but he is a weasel.
He is a weasel.
No time limit, no outside interference, so I will not be interfering in this match, unfortunately. Daniel Garcia, Adam Cole, TNT title on the line. What's going to happen, Drew? Who you got? Adam Cole said that this is, I think, 17 years to the day of his first match. I want to say he's got special gear made. Is this his moment?
Yeah, I think Adam Cole's got to win the champion. I think they have to pull the trigger. They made a large investment in Adam Cole, not only financially, but television, stable-wise, all that stuff. He needs a championship, and I think this is it. I understand what they were trying to do with Danny Garcia, and it was a good shot. But for now, the TNT title needs more shine, and I think Adam Cole can provide that. So I want Adam Cole to win this. If there's one match that has to happen in my eyes for AEW that they need to switch the title, the Moxley and Swerve one is definitely up there, but I think this has to happen.
I agree. And we talked a little bit Bandito, Chris Jericho. I think we're both in agreement. Bandito should take the Ring of Honor title from Jericho.
Bandito's not losing.
Get some life. Yeah, get some life into the Ring of Honor brand with someone new. It's not Jericho. And then, as I always say here, I'm looking forward to what's next because Jericho, to a lot of people, has been really stale. And now he might lose the Learning Tree. He might lose his title. What could happen after that? So I'm kind of intrigued. Jericho losing everything, what that could lead to.
I think you're right. I think Bandito is going to take the championship, and I think it'll be interesting to see where Jericho goes from here.
Death Riders versus Rated FTR trios title. Man, they play it up like Dax is going to turn, but I think you're in agreement with me. Cope is going to be the one that turns. And I want Cope and Christian to be a team, a heel tag team. Let's go.
I jumped on a space that takes place. I want to say it's every day besides Saturday and Sunday. I think it's called the Wrestling Collective. And if I botched
Wrestle Collective. Yeah. I popped in there as well.
Yeah. They're good people. Shout out to them. They hold a good space. I will say
Spaces, man. What an innovation.
Me too. I love that platform.
The only thing I wish they could finally do, they have the technology. It's 2025. Can we please have it for desktop? Because it's annoying to do.
I have it on my desktop.
You're also premium. You got a blue check.
Stop being cheap.
Sorry, I have other things to pay for in my life, Drew.
Don't even get me started. I have 3 kids and they're in private school. So don't tell me you can't afford $11. Okay. Moving on. They I'm in agreement with you. I think everyone's focused on the FTR turn of Copeland. I don't think these men are winning the trios title, but I believe it's going to be Copeland who turns on FTR, and I think we get a Cope and Christian reunion sooner rather than later, because I think that that's something that both men want to do before they both hang it up or leave All Elite Wrestling. So,
yeah. Also, sidebar. Do you think there's a real chance, because they're all talking like it could happen, and I think it could happen, the Dudleys, Cope and Christian, and the Hardys, because the Hardys were talking to the Dudleys Matt Hardy was talking on Twitter to Bully Ray back and forth. And if Cope and Christian are available, like, if they're out of AEW, say next year, you think they could run that back? You think they would actually do a match?
I thought you were saying like they would do it in AEW. I don't see that.
No.
Could it happen in WWE? I think anything can and will happen in the World Wrestling
Federation. Next year is 25 years since TLC 2, which I didn't get to say. That's my personal favorite WrestleMania match.
That's which one? Yeah. The ladder match
or TLC 2 at Mania 17?
Okay, 17. That's a really good match.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's got everything.
That's top 10 for me. You know, a match that I think doesn't get a lot of credit that I actually like. I don't know if it's in my top 10.
Looking forward to hearing this.
But I'm a big fan of the Raven, Kane, Big Show.
Love that match. That's why Mania 17 is so damn good. There's really all the matches that shouldn't have had a lot of time didn't get a lot of time, and they were quick. They needed what they needed to do, and the ones that were let to breathe killed it.
I'm going to say this about Copeland and Christian jumping back over to WWE and that match happening in a WWE ring. I want to say it's next to none. I mean, I think at the time that these men's contract expire from AEW, and then having them go through a ladder match in WWE.
Well, I don't know if they do a ladder, but they could do something. I'd like to just see them. Maybe they'll all 6 go in, and the TLC 2 will be the match that goes in next year.
They had the opportunity to do Copeland and Christian versus the Hardys, but the Hardys had a situation, and they were out of AEW very quickly after that. And then Copeland was hurt. I think Cope and Christian reuniting, taking on FTR, and maybe even the Bucks, they could kind of recreate TLC.
I like that.
Could work. So yeah, I mean, I'm there.
Let's do Cope and Christian versus the Young Bucks. I am here, or versus FTR. That's your new age TLC. I'd like that. Man, the next 3 matches, they're all going to be talked about for one reason or the other. The first being all incredible in-ring Ricochet, Speedball Mike Bailey, Kenny Omega. People are making comparisons that this could be similar to the Daniels, Styles, Joe triple threat back in 2005, which is celebrating its 20th anniversary. That triple threat match that was the first X Division match to main event a TNA pay-per-view. These 3 guys, not sure if they've ever had a match together like this.
No, they've all, like you said, individually, yes.
Yeah, so this is going to be, God, again, we say it every time we talk about AEW on pay-per-view. The whole show is probably going to be great, but there's always going to be 1, 2, even 3 matches that are top tier, and this is going to be maybe at the top of that list. I'm looking forward to one hell of a contest between these 3 men.
Yeah, this will be very, very good. There's no doubt about it. I don't think these 3 can have a bad match. Now, triple threats get interesting. This is for the international championship, so there's something involved. But for me, Kenny is walking into All In Texas with the international championship, so I think Speedball's in this one probably to take an L, which is fine. He'll be just fine. But the match is going to be good, no doubt about it.
Yeah. It's going to be nuts. Another match that I'm pretty intrigued for. I'm not sure where it's going to land in regards to who wins, because they've been pushing Megan Bayne to the moon.
Tony spoke very highly of Megan Bayne too on the media call,
as he should. Megan Bayne, again, I'm talking as if it's not kayfabe. Like, oh man, she's been running through the roster. Right. Well, of course, that's the goal, but it's worked. It's really been effective, and she's menacing looking, and she's an imposing figure. I think Tony's going to have her hands full here, and I'm looking forward to seeing the match. Now, I think Tony still ends up retaining because, if the Monet-Tone match happens at All In, then it's going to happen. But I think it'll be a fun match to see Megan Bayne on this pretty big stage, getting a one-on-one for the world title.
I like where your head's at. I would love to see Megan Bayne kind of with a shock victory. I just don't see it happening. I think the reason they put the championship on Tony was a couple things. Mariah May, seems like there's contract negotiations that could be possibly going on there. Her contract's up soon. What's being reported is very smart on Mariah's camp because it's only going to drive her price up, and get paid while you can. I don't hate it.
It's her free agency year.
Yeah. So, and professional athletes do it all the time. Professional wrestlers doing it if they have good agents. That's the way you should do things. Get your money. But what I will say is I just think we're headed to Toni Storm rolling into All In Texas as the AEW world champion. And I think she does take on Monet. I think Monet is going to win the Owen. So we'll have to wait and see. But I could see them keeping Megan Bayne strong. How about that? I think that is the goal in this match.
I think Toni can get maybe not a roll-up victory, but a kind of out-of-nowhere victory. And then Megan...
I think Megan might snap and get DQ'd. And that's how the match ends. And then you could get a rematch at Double or Nothing where, it's some sort of like...
no DQ or...
something. Right.
Yeah. Okay. I could see that for sure. So I'm interested in seeing Megan Bayne on a larger scale, getting this opportunity. And then assumed main event, Jon Moxley defending against Swerve Strickland for the AEW World Title. I love the one guy in the crowd this past week on Dynamite, and it said, was it Bore? It was something about the Death Riders, like bored to Death Riders. I don't know. It was amazing. Like,
a nice funny pun. But you like the dry humor. I get it.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, that's what Seinfeld and
it was a joke. My response was a joke too. Yeah. What do you mean?
What do you mean? Yeah.
What are you talking about? Yeah. But yeah, I like it or not. It's just, I don't know if it did what it needed to do, the Death Riders thing. Cause it was kind of a vehicle for Bryan to get out of the picture, and that works. And you've said, maybe Bryan does come back to wrestle it All In, and maybe that factors in, maybe not a Dynasty, but at some point, who knows? To get that revenge.
I'm here for
this match in general. I think Swerve. Swerve should do what he did last time at Dynasty and win the damn world title.
I am here for a Jon Moxley, Bryan Danielson one-on-one match at All In with no championship attached to it, and just a feud match. That's fine. But I think a lot of people are clamoring for it. John and the Death Riders do, and so does Cope. They do very good numbers metrics wise. So it'll be interesting to see if Tony does want to pull the trigger on taking the championship off of Moxley, who has been like his Mr. AEW. There's no doubt about it. So it'll be interesting to see what transpires, but I think Swerve is the right guy to take the championship off of Moxley, just because Moxley started this with a purpose. And if Swerve and Hangman Page come together and Swerve wins the championship, only to have them fight at All In the biggest, which we're not there yet, but this would be the largest United States attended AEW event.
We're on their way. We're on their way.
That works.
They're selling tickets.
So for me, I pull the trigger on Swerve on Sunday. I do. If not, then you better do it in Arizona. So
Double or Nothing. I agree. I think you gotta hype up and that makes sense, because like I said with Jericho, let's say Mox loses the title. What would you say is next for him?
He has to have a rematch.
Right. But like after that, like after a world title thing, what would be next for him? And to me, it is, maybe Danielson gets his receipt and wants to take that out. And that would make some sense to have it All In.
Yeah. The two biggest thing about the Death Riders, for me, was what they did was they're trying to pull something out of AEW that has been lacking. And that was the purpose. And also, which hasn't, and we're seeing it kind of be fulfilled. But the other thing was it should be used as a vehicle to get some of these other talents over. And truthfully, the only other talent that I believe has a chance of getting over is the chick. I mean, and that's the thing. The other three guys
Marina
in this,
Shafir,
the other three guys in this are not. I don't think that they've grown. So I would say Marina Shafir, is the only person who has the potential to really make an impact via this group. So we'll see.
I agree. And give me Marina Shafir and Megan Bayne. Why not?
Yeah, and the reason, if you look back at it, you got 4 dudes and a chick, right? 4 dudes and 4 men and a woman. The men, you would think at least half of them. Moxley's already a made man, but you would think that Claudio, Pac, Wheeler, one of them would have gotten even more over. But it's the woman, it's the chick,
right?
It's the chick. Marina Shafir is way more over than any of those gentlemen, in my opinion, right now.
And I would say that's because we've seen Wheeler. We've seen them try to do stuff with him. Claudio's been around forever. Yeah. Pac's been around for a long time as well. Yeah. Fans it's not that they don't, they're not interested in these guys, but they've seen them and they've seen them hit peaks higher than what they're at now. Yeah. So Marina's still elevating. Yeah. Let's get behind, that and see what we got going with her.
And she's in the Owen. Could she be the one who wins the Owen? Maybe. Could they do a double count out?
Yeah, I'd like
or
that.
Could they do a time limit draw or something in the Owen between Mercedes and Athena hit each other? Maybe. Could Athena cost Monet? Sure. Could Monet cost Athena then as payback? Sure. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But Marina's in it, and like I said, the chick in the Death Riders is more over than the other three dudes. So here we are.
I'm in agreement.
So we'll see. This was fun, Juice. What do you think? What is it time? Is it time for Mox to drop that championship?
If not now, when?
Well, if they don't do it now on this Sunday, they have to do it at Double or Nothing, correct?
There's no, whether it's Double or Nothing or have they done? This is an interesting question. Says me. Have they had a world title change hands on a Dynamite?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Because what did I bring up earlier with Luger? Like anything could happen on these shows. They have not. No.
Could you imagine if they
do it on the spring break episode that will pass Nitro for most episodes? Well, I'm just saying.
Don't you put that evil on me.
Whether that happens at Double or Nothing, or I just don't think there's a scenario where Mox is champion by All In. So what I'm saying is whether he loses at Double or Nothing, he loses the Dynasty, or he loses it on a Dynamite, say, to pop a rating or let's see what happens on this random episode. Because they just had a world title match with Cope, but it never changed hands. I'd be here for that.
Blake's correct. Marina Shafir is not in the Owen, which I forgot. I thought she was. I'm sorry. She's not. It is.
Drew is truthfully not on the payroll. Otherwise, he would have not made a mistake like that.
The only other person that not named Monet and Athena, there's two people. Now that I'm looking at it, he's right. I would love that's not going to happen. Jamie Hayter and Harley Cameron.
Jamie Hayter.
Jamie Hayter and Harley Cameron. I mean, but this screams Monet and Athena, and it just screams Monet. So thank you, Blake. I thought Marina Shafir was in this. I thought that would have been something. I would have done that. But they didn't, so that's my fault. I apologize. But yeah, I don't know. I agree. If not when, if not Sunday, then when?
Okay, when? This guy did say Omega and Moxley in 2021 when Don Callis, the heel turn with the screwdriver when he joined with Kenny to win that happened on Dynamite, but it was in Daly's place, wasn't it?
Oh, okay. So there you go.
And that's fine. But to me, I still think they could pull one off. Okay, maybe even not with this program, but I think they should still pull one off more random, out of nowhere.
Don't make the Nitro breaking episode something where we have to change the championship.
Yes, let's do it. Let's bury WCW.
No. All right, boys and girls, we are at our time limit here. We went 30 minutes over. We try and keep the show at an hour, but we had good topics, so we went 30 minutes over. I want to appreciate everyone who joined us. We had over 500 people watch our return, so that's always it doesn't go unnoticed. It's always appreciated that you take time out of your days to watch two knuckleheads talk about professional wrestling and sports entertainment. So I appreciate it wholeheartedly, and I know my co-host does as well. Juice, why don't you tell everybody where they can subscribe, and follow you?
You can follow me on Twitter, formerly known as X, because that's what we're doing these days, at Juicy Steen, and Juicebox every Friday. You also can hear this via audio on there and that feed. You can follow along as I make my way out to the great city of brotherly love this weekend to check out Dynasty, a little road trip action. So keep up to date.
I am, unfortunately, make sure you follow Juice. Make sure you travel or follow his travel journey to Philly. I am not going to Philadelphia for Dynasty. I want to say thank you to AEW for credentialing me and asking if I was going to be there, making all the accommodations. It's very humbling. I'm just not going to be able to make it. My son is involved in a very detailed and hard to make travel baseball team, and he's still in tryouts, and dad's got to be there. I'm a father first and a wrestling talking head like 7th. So
Father of the Year, Andrew Baydala.
I don't know about that, but I think you got to constantly show up and be there for your kids, and that's something I will always do. So I appreciate it, and Juice will have a good time. It's going to be a great show. It's going to be a great pay-per-view. There's no doubt about it. AEW always delivers on pay-per-view. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and follow. Hit the bell for notifications on Final Bell Media's YouTube, so when we go live, you will know. I'm at Andrew Baydala right there. Most of you already follow me, but if you don't, there it is. There's Juice's Twitter handle right there as well. I hope you guys and girls have a great rest of your Thursday. Check my Twitter for some updates tomorrow, maybe even a little bit on Saturday. Maybe we do a live space on Sunday, but right before Dynasty, and we preview it again and maybe get your preview and predictions from the fans' perspective. We'll see. Dynasty is going to be a good show. I appreciate it. Thank you all for joining us. We are out, and I will catch you guys and girls next week. Juice, pleasure as always. And we'll see you next week.
Hell yeah.
That was Drew and Juice, a special collaboration between Final Bell Media and the Juice Box. Make sure to listen to Drew and Juice wherever you listen to podcasts.